was horrific. Like when you're seeing people coming around like scavengers bidding for things, well, I'll give you £5 for that table and £2 for this and all of that. It was horrible, really. But just prior to our declaring bankruptcy, Colin and I went to see Manfred Schmidt, and we said, look, Manfred, we think that you should buy Commodore UK as a going concern because it's a profitable business. And not only that, we could give you can inherit £6 million worth of tax credits. But more than that, it's like, because it was the end of an era. And for me personally, I mean, it has been such a huge part of my DNA for 12 and a half years. It's really, I'm guessing, although thankfully I've never had the feeling, but I'm guessing it must have been like losing a child. But anyway, Manfred Schmidt said, I'll tell you what, gentlemen, he said, I'll buy Commodore UK, but only if you two stay and work for me. And neither of us wanted to work for him. And we said, we said, no, sorry, we're not interested in that. And so he turned around and he said, well, how are you guys going to feel? You now have got to go back to your office and you've got to tell all your staff that they're all out of a job because you wouldn't work for me. And Colin turned around and said, now you know why we will never work for you. Yeah, right. There's that kind of thing, right? And it was a no-brainer, but they said, we'll only buy Commodore UK if you and Colin stay. And there's no way I want to work for them, nor did Colin, because they weren't ethical people. And then the guy said, Manfred Schmidt, he said, how are you going to feel having to lose, all your people are going to lose their jobs? And we said, you just explained why we don't want to work for you. Because that's exactly the kind of attitude that we don't want to work with.
On a more positive note,
we went to see Manfred Schmidt, who was the founder and managing director of Escom, and we suggested that it might be a worthwhile thing for him to consider buying Commodore UK as a going concern. And I think this is probably indicative of them as a company. He tried to blackmail Colin and I, and he said that I will buy Commodore UK, but only if you and Colin work for me. And frankly, we didn't want to work for him. And then he said, well, in that case, then he said, you'll have to go back and tell all your employees that they're out of a job because you turned me down. And he said, all right, he said, but I'll only buy Commodore UK if you two, Colin and I, if you work for me. And we didn't have any intention of working for him. And Colin said, sorry, with all due respect, but we don't want to work for you. And he said, well, in that case, I'm not going to buy it. And in that case, you've now got to go back to all your staff and tell them that they're all going to be out of a job because you wouldn't work for me. And then Colin said, that's exactly why we don't want to work for you.
Yeah, the prime example right there.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes, it's absolutely the truth.
For